vigilant. I mean, it tells you everything the opposite to do of what a foolish man would do. And so, I mean, to me, I look at it in so many ways. It tells you too. It says, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. And sometimes that like we look at it, the Spirit of Christ, that devil sometimes is that spirit too. That spirit, it could be a friend, it could be a family member. They're seeking to devour you just because they got that wrong spirit on them. And so that's why it tells you also to be obedient. Because if we're not obedient, we might think we hear one of them other spirits and think it's Christ telling us something. And that right there alone, I mean, we can deceive ourselves in the flesh, but when you start getting disobedient and not listening to Christ, and you get, basically what happens is you're turned over to the devil at that point. And you'll think you're going through a great spiritual experience. And if you're living in sin and you're not obedient to Christ, that little experience, it'll deceive you. And have you basically, like I said, listening to it, thinking it's spiritual, and really it's just the devil. The devil's come at you for some reason, or whatever it is. Sometimes, like I said, it could be another person. They could be, like we got those, I don't know what you call them. They're all over the internet. They call themselves prophets. And I guess they try to prophecy like future stuff and stuff like that. And most of what they say is, if you give, you're going to get some money, and if you do this, you're going to get a new house. And there's no, real will of God there. That's just them speaking. And I don't know if they hope it comes true, but they give a false hope where somebody's hoping it comes true. Somebody's like, man, I really need that new house, or I need that new car. And so they give out a false hope. And of course, that's foolishness, but this, to me, it's the opposite of that. Because, it tells you, like in 2 Peter, tells you in that first chapter right there, how to not only get into the will of God, but how to stay in the will of God and never come out of it. And in this here, it just, like I said, to me, it's the exact opposite of foolishness. It gives basically a little bit of back history of how it got to that point. And because, like I said, it wasn't always this way. It was, you had Noah, or I'm sorry, not Noah, but you had Adam at first. And you come on down the line, you have Abraham, Noah, and all these others, and have Moses also. And so the promises to them, as far as specific promises went, they didn't get the same promises that we got. We're in a different sort of time frame. And even during the time of Christ 2,000 years ago, they were promised a coming Savior. And so just like we are today, we still wait for a coming Savior too, but we know he's coming back to take us up out of here and to do away with his work and to finish it. But back then they thought almost the same like we did. They're waiting on the coming Savior, but they were wondering, like, is he just going to finish it now? And so it was a little bit different mindset. But I like to go back. I felt the need to go back to 1 Peter from 2 Peter because, just that mindset, just looking back in time. When we look back in time, sometimes we don't see all that. Sometimes we just see how it was. We see, they had faith. He was obedient. We don't see, there were steps to it. There were certain promises made to certain people, and some of them broke those promises. Some of them, like when he made the people walk through the wilderness when they got out of Egypt for 40 years. That's a long time to be walking through the wilderness, and all they had to do was go into the land. He said, hey, just go. Go to the land of Canaan. It's filled with milk and honey. And he told them, you don't even have to fight. I'll drive out the inhabitants with bees. And you can just take their land. And they didn't believe him. And so they suffered, and of course, as disobedient, But they suffered and went through the wilderness 40 years, and then their children went. Because some of the children were obedient, And so, to me, though, this 1 Peter, there's so much there. Like, I can't explain it all, but, the whole Bible, there's a calling to be obedient and to humble yourself. And there's just so much more that I can't say just because, you'd have to have that relationship with God. Like, I could tell you all the stuff in the world, but unless you got that relationship with God, you know that he's true and you know that he cares for you, something I say might come off in the right mindset or wrong mindset to you. You might be like, well, he's just foolish. He don't know what he's talking about,